Thank you all for listening and watching my videos. Please subscribe and like my channel Master Coolits. Hoping that you will not skip my ads. It's a big help for me by not skipping it. Thank you so much. Dragon Shadow. The Rise.
Three days had passed, and Zane Martel, filled with a burning determination, stood with Katie at the entrance of the ominous Dark Wolf Hall. Their faces reflected a mixture of tension and resolve. 3 days ago, Katie had divulged everything she knew about the Thousand Insect Sect, including its secretive location. Originally, Zane Martel, driven by an overwhelming urge, had intended to rush to the sect overnight, desperate to uncover the fate of his friend, Erick Helm. But Katie, always the voice of reason, had intervened.
Zane Martel rushing in recklessly could be disastrous. The Thousand Insect Sect might not be the strongest, but their control over demonic insects is formidable. We need to be prepared.
Her words were not without merit. The Thousand Insect Sect, though lacking practitioners in the expert level, boasted several powerful, advanced-level cultivators. Charging in blindly would only lead to a bitter defeat, if not worse, becoming food for those dreaded insects.
Katie, are you ready?
Yes, everything is set. To avoid escalating any conflict between our sects, it'll just be the two of us. And remember, don't act until we confirm if Erick Helm is really in their clutches.
Okay, I got it.
Zane Martel nodded, a storm brewing in his eyes. He swore that as long as the Thousand Insect Sect had not harmed Erick Helm, he would restrain himself. But if he discovered that Erick Helm had indeed been captured, his fury would be a tempest that they could not weather. The two companions ascended into the sky, speeding southwards from Wolf City. Their destination, the treacherous Thousand Insects Ridge, a place perpetually shrouded in poisonous mist and teeming with venomous creatures. It was an inhospitable domain, avoided by all but the members of the Thousand Insect Sect. Zane Martel's thoughts raced faster than his flight. Emotions churned within him, propelling him forward with such speed that Katie struggled to keep up. Her calls of concern eventually broke through his haze of worry.
Zane Martel, wait up.
He reluctantly slowed, his mind a whirlwind of anxiety and hope. Katie, catching up, tried to offer solace.
Don't worry, your friend might not be captured. He could just be hiding, or he's off training somewhere.
I hope so.
Their journey continued in silence, the dense poisonous fog of the Thousand Insects Ridge soon coming into view. The forest below was a morass of red, twisted trees and treacherous, muddy waters. Poisonous miasma coiled through the air, a constant, sinister presence.
This is it. To avoid detection, we need to proceed on foot from here.
Katie handed Zane Martel a mask, cautioning him about the deadly miasma. Even a brief exposure could dissolve an advanced-level warrior into a pool of blood. Mask secured, they landed and sank into the soft, reeking mud. The thick fog and buzzing of venomous insects added to the oppressive atmosphere. Zane Martel, ever alert, swiftly dispatched the swarming bugs with precise sword energy strikes.
No wonder no one comes here. This place is a nightmare.
If we weren't prepared, we'd be in serious trouble.
Katie lit a peculiar incense, its green smoke driving away the insects. They trudged forward, progress hindered by the mud that clung like quicksand. The oppressive environment tested their resolve with every step. Half an hour passed, and they had only covered 10 miles. Katie had already used up 3 incense sticks and now held their last one. The dense, wet foliage and ever-present threat of poisonous insects loomed over them like a curse. Just as they thought they might finally reach the heart of the ridge, a sinister sound echoed through the mist. The ground trembled slightly, and an eerie silence replaced the buzzing of insects. They exchanged wary glances, the weight of their mission pressing down on them. What awaited them in the heart of the Thousand Insect Sect's territory? Would they find Erick Helm, or something far more sinister? The poisonous fog thickened, shrouding their path in uncertainty and dread. The answers they sought lay just ahead, but at what cost? With every step forward, they moved closer to the unknown, where danger and discovery awaited in equal measure. The murky depths of the Thousand Insects Ridge held secrets that would test their strength, courage, and resolve. The thick mist hung heavy in the air, shrouding the dense forest. Suddenly, a rustling sound broke the silence, emerging from the undergrowth ahead.
Zane Martel, be careful. It could be someone from the Thousand Insects Sect.
From the shadows of the jungle, a middle-aged man no older than 40 stepped forward. He was at the 5th level of the intermediate level, but his confidence seemed misplaced. Upon seeing Zane Martel and Katie, his eyes widened in surprise before narrowing with suspicion.
Who are you two? Why are you trespassing in the territory of the Thousand Insects sect?
Zane Martel and Katie exchanged a quick, knowing glance. A silent understanding passed between them.
We got caught sooner than I expected. Let me knock him out and we'll move on quietly.
No need. I'll handle this.
A sharp glint flickered in Zane Martel's eyes as he extended his hand, generating a powerful suction force. The air around the middle-aged man tightened, constricting him.
You dare to attack us on our own turf? You've clearly underestimated the Thousand Insects sect. You're courting death.
With a desperate cry, the man summoned a long spear, flames licking its edges, and thrust it towards Zane Martel. But Zane Martel, unmoved, flicked his finger effortlessly, shattering the spear into pieces.
An advanced level practitioner.
Realization dawned on the man's face, his complexion turning ashen. In a flash, Zane Martel appeared behind him, placing a firm hand on his shoulder. His voice, a low growl, sent shivers down the man's spine.
If you value your life, you'll answer my questions. Lie, and you'll regret it.
I understand. Please don't kill me.
The man's voice trembled. He knew he stood no chance against 2 advanced-level practitioners. Zane Martel wasted no time, pulling out a portrait of Erick Helm.
Have you seen this man? His name is Erick Helm. He might have contacted your sect.
The man's eyes darted to the portrait. His pupils dilated with recognition, but he quickly masked his reaction.
No, I've never seen him.
The man's voice was firm, but Zane Martel's keen eyes caught the fleeting look of recognition. The man's denial only confirmed Zane Martel's suspicions.
I'm giving you one more chance. Tell me the truth.
I swear, I've never seen this man before.
In a swift, decisive motion, Zane Martel unleashed a sharp cyan sword energy. It sliced cleanly through the man's neck, his head tumbling into the murky water below, staining it crimson.
Zane Martel, what are you doing? We agreed not to attack until we had confirmation.
Katie's voice quivered with anger and shock, but Zane Martel's expression remained steely, unyielding.
He lied. That means Erick Helm is here. I don't care about causing a scene. I will find him.
A thunderous noise erupted from above. A strong man exuding a formidable aura descended. His muscles bulged and his face twisted in rage.
Who are you and why did you kill our people? You dare to provoke the Thousand Insect sect?
His voice was a roar, echoing through the forest. 3 more figures appeared, 2 men and a woman, all emanating the power of the advanced level. Yet Zane Martel's gaze fixed on one of them, a young man carrying a scarlet saber. A saber he recognized all too well.
That's Erick Helm's saber. They did take him.
Rage boiled over within Zane Martel, his killing intent radiating like a storm, darkening the skies above. The sight of his friend's weapon in the hands of these strangers ignited a fury that could not be contained.
If you don't explain yourselves, none of you are leaving here alive.
The man's threat hung in the air, but Zane Martel's resolve was unshaken. The rage within him had transformed into a terrifying force, ready to be unleashed. As the oppressive atmosphere thickened, a tense standoff ensued. Would Zane Martel's fury lead him to Erick Helm, or would it plunge him into deeper peril? The stakes had never been higher, and the answer lay just beyond the veil of fog and fury. The leader of the strongmen frowned and stared at Zane Martel, feeling a wave of shock ripple through him.
Who are they? Why does this loser give me such a bad gut feeling?
The big man lowered his voice, his face turning serious.
You two, explain why you're here and why you killed a disciple of the Thousand Insect sect. Otherwise, you'll never leave this place again.
As soon as he finished speaking, he and his 3 companions spread out, forming a circle to cover all escape routes.
Larry Shaw, it seems we're in trouble now. Should we run?
Katie frowned, her instincts warning of the danger ahead, but Zane Martel, focused and determined, ignored her.
Have you seen this person before? His name is Erick Helm.
Zane Martel's tone was icy, his face expressionless. He held up a portrait, his eyes boring into the young man carrying Erick Helm's saber.
Ah, this person seems familiar. Where have I seen him before?
The young man touched his chin, his tone calm, as if it were a casual matter. Zane Martel's heart skipped a beat, his fist clenched tightly. He struggled to suppress his anger.
Have you really not seen this person before? Take a good look. The saber behind you belonged to him.
The mention of the saber sparked recognition in the young man's eyes.
Oh, you're talking about that intermediate level kid. So his name is Erick Helm. I wouldn't have known if you hadn't told me. Yes, I do know him. His saber is quite useful. It would be a waste to leave such a treasure to him, so I took it.
The young man spoke with a relaxed demeanor, oblivious to the gravity of the situation.
Where is he?
A strong wind began to swirl around Zane Martel, his anger palpable.
Where? I don't know. Usually the people we catch are either locked up or killed. How can I remember everyone? Are you looking for him? I advise you to give up. He was probably fed to my adorable insects by now.
The young man laughed, joined by his companions, treating Erick Helm's fate as trivial.
Ha ha ha, so you're here to disturb us over such a minor issue. Forget it. I've killed your man, and you've killed mine. Let's call it even. Get out of here.
Zane Martel's mind raced.
Maybe he's dead or feeding food for bugs.
He thought.
He is my closest friend. If it wasn't for Erick Helm, I would have died 1,000 times over. Will I never have the chance to repay him?
The suffering Erick Helm endured in the Thousand Insects sect demanded retribution. Zane Martel's anger surged, his body enveloped in gold and silver sky thunder of the Dark Domain.
Since you admitted to taking Erick Helm and hurting him, you all must die.
Ignoring everything else, Zane Martel soared into the sky, his body radiating blinding silver light. Over 500 runes surfaced, intensifying his fury. The air crackled with tension, leaving the outcome uncertain. Would Zane Martel's rage be enough to avenge his friend, or would the odds overwhelm him? The answer hung in the balance, a storm of emotions ready to unleash. Suddenly, the Black Abyss sword appeared in Zane Martel's hand, and he slashed at the leader with immense force. This strike was terrifying, containing enough power to split heaven and earth. Even the sky seemed to be pulled up, and the clouds were torn apart.
How dare you?
The muscular man obviously did not realize that Zane Martel would actually attack him over a guy in the intermediate level. He immediately gritted his teeth and released thick smoke from his hands, aiming it toward the residual smoke left by the sword.
2,000 hands.
The fist smashed into the sword, but in the next moment, the Black Abyss sword, filled with terrifying sword vigor, directly chopped off the leader's arm, causing blood to splash. The strong man screamed miserably and shouted for help to his companions beside him.
What are you doing? Come over and help. This kid is not a joke. Don't let your guard down.
The other three were stunned at first, but when they realized that the strong man was shouting, they immediately changed their expressions and attacked.
Brat, you dare to take action in the Thousand Insects sect. I will make sure your corpse is unrecognizable. Heavenly Thunderfinger.
The attacker extended his finger, which was filled with thunder and lightning, and shot a bolt of lightning at Zane Martel. The man who carried Erick Helm's saber held it in his hand, and in a second slashed out dozens of overbearing saber radiance, whistling past. As for the last woman, she retreated to the back and summoned a group of dense insects from the spirit cultivation ring. They swarmed like a cloud, baring their fangs and flying toward Zane Martel. The attacks of the three people came from all directions, blocking Zane Martel's way. Their momentum was like a ferocious tiger.
Oh no, Larry Shaw, hold on. I'll come and help you now.
Katie was shocked when she saw so many people attacking at once. She was about to take action when she was stopped by Zane Martel.
Wait, don't do anything. I have to kill these people with my own hands.
Zane Martel roared and turned the Black Abyss sword in his hand, striking out a rolling sword energy like a tornado, which swept away all the attacks. The sharp sword energy spread out and hit the four people easily with a few sounds. The four of them were injured to varying degrees. Their pupils shrank and they looked at Zane Martel as if they were looking at a monster. Zane Martel was so powerful that even though the four of them attacked at the same time, he managed to block them with one strike.
Let's attack together. Don't give him any chance to catch his breath. Kill him as soon as possible.
The young man holding Erick Helm's saber roared, but the next moment, Zane Martel's figure flashed and he appeared directly behind him.
You're not qualified to use Erick Helm's saber. Return it to me.
The young man's face immediately turned pale, and he was scared out of his wits.
Oh no! When did you get here? Why didn't I notice it at all? No, I have to run away as soon as possible.
However, before the young man could fly away, Zane Martel raised his sword and sliced him into two from head to toe. Two bloody corpses fell from the sky, attacking in a swift and neat manner. A spot of light emerged from the young man's corpse. It was in the shape of a flame. Obviously, it was his martial spirit. When a warrior reached the advanced level, as long as the martial spirit did not die, there was still a chance of survival. Escaping as his martial spirit was his last resort.
Trying to escape? It's not that easy.
Zane Martel's voice was filled with rage and determination. As he pursued the fleeing spirit, the air crackled with energy, leaving the outcome uncertain and the tension high. Would Zane Martel's fury be enough to vanquish his enemies, or would new dangers arise? The answer hung in the balance, a storm of emotions ready to unleash. In the dense forest of the Thousand Insect sect, the air was thick with tension. Zane Martel stood tall, his eyes cold and focused. He faced his enemies with a deadly calm that sent shivers down the spines of those who dared to oppose him.
You're next.
Streaks of sword energy shot out from Zane Martel's blade, smashing the martial spirit of his first opponent. In less than 20 seconds, the young man lay lifeless on the ground. 20 seconds. Even for a youth at the first stage of the advanced level, this speed was terrifying. Katie, watching from a distance, was stunned. It was incredible. Zane Martel grabbed Erick Helm's scarlet saber, frowning as he examined it.
Erick Helm, you must be safe and sound.
Erick Helm was Zane Martel's closest ally. He couldn't let anything happen to him. If Erick Helm were harmed, Zane Martel would make sure the Thousand Insect sect paid the ultimate price. Putting away the saber, Zane Martel turned his icy gaze to the three adversaries in front of him. They had witnessed his swift kill, their faces pale with fear. How could someone at the first stage of the advanced level possess such power? One of the women, her resolve unbroken, gritted her teeth and crushed a neck jaw. A gust of pink powder exploded into the air, carried by the breeze.
Even in the face of death, you still don't realize the danger you're in. From the moment you stepped into the Thousand Insect sect, your death was certain.
The female disciple's expression turned ferocious.
Do you think you're invincible just because you have some power? Countless fools like you die by my hands every year. Be good and let my bugs enjoy your flesh.
Suddenly, a loud noise echoed from the forest below. A swarm of poisonous insects, thousands strong, surged toward Zane Martel. Beetles, centipedes, ants, each one more terrifying than the last. The sheer number made even seasoned warriors' hair stand on end.
Zane Martel, be careful.
The disciples of the Thousand Insect sect were not powerful on their own, but the venomous bugs they controlled were deadly. A single bite could poison someone, leading to either death or enslavement to the sect, a fate worse than death. The three remaining disciples laughed, their fear replaced by confidence. With their poisonous insects, they were sure they would win.
That's it?
Zane Martel waved his Black Abyss sword, sending out 10 enormous sword energies that scattered the bug swarm, killing hundreds of venomous insects. But this was just a fraction of the swarm.
It's useless. There are too many. Better enjoy the feeling of your flesh being torn to pieces.
Maybe your friend has already felt the joy of poisonous bugs tearing him apart from the inside. That thought makes me so happy.
The venomous bugs, lacking any intelligence, fearlessly attacked, their bodies clinking against Zane Martel's sword.
No, they're just bugs. What's the use?
What's the use? You're about to find out.
But Zane Martel wasn't just talking. He waved his hand, and the spirit cultivation ring on his finger glowed. Suddenly, a swarm of black bugs, more than 30,000 strong, flew out. The green enderons swarmed together like a pitch-black cloud, making the onlookers' scalps go numb. The battlefield was now filled with the buzzing of tens of thousands of insects, their sheer numbers darkening the sky. Zane Martel's eyes gleamed with fierce determination. This was not a battle he intended to lose. As the two swarms collided in a chaotic dance of life and death, the outcome remained uncertain. Would Zane Martel's newfound allies turn the tide, or would the venomous insects prove too much even for him? The battle for survival had just begun. The battlefield was filled with the buzzing of insects and the clash of metal. Zane Martel faced his enemies with unwavering determination, his eyes burning with fury.
Venomous bugs? You think you can control poisonous bugs too? You think it's that easy?
Now let me show you the power of the poisonous insects of the Thousand Insect Sect.
At first, the woman was shocked. Then her face turned gloomy as she commanded her venomous insects to attack the green anurans. But the tide of battle began to shift. The green anurans were tough all over. No knife or gun could cut through them. Not only that, they had enormous appetites. They devoured 8,000 or 9,000 poisonous insects in mere moments. The remains of the bugs fell from the sky like a storm.
Impossible. How could your bugs be stronger than mine? There's no way.
The woman couldn't believe it. She couldn't accept it. But this was the harsh reality.
Impossible? What's impossible? You love insects, right? You like feeling your flesh being torn apart by insects? Now I'll let you have a taste of this feeling yourself. Green anurans, devour them.
With a wave of his hand, Zane Martel commanded the green anurans to pounce. Soon, miserable screams filled the air.
Wait, no, stop.
Ah, damn bugs, let go of me.
In less than a minute, most of the flesh and blood of the 3 disciples had been consumed. They were dead. Zane Martel gave another order.
Green anurans, go crazy and eat up. Within the Thousand Insect Sect, as long as they are disciples, whether they are alive or not, eat them all.
Upon receiving Zane Martel's order, the green anurans scattered in all directions. They flew down to the ground, and suddenly, the sound of insects biting and fighting filled the air. Katie's mouth was wide open. She couldn't close it for a long time. Zane Martel knew how to control insects? Sure enough, anything involving Zane Martel was always full of surprises. She flew up to meet him.
Zane Martel, what are you going to do now?
I'm going to find Erick Helm whether he's alive or not. Even if I have to search through the entire Thousand Insect Sect, I will find him.
As he spoke, he transformed into a shocking arc of light and flew towards the sect. Katie, worried, followed closely behind him. Soon, Zane Martel arrived in front of the main entrance of the Thousand Insect Sect. The 2 intermediate-level disciples guarding the entrance questioned him when they saw a foreign face.
Who are you? Why haven't I seen you before? Stop there.
Yeah, stop!
Zane Martel roared.
Get lost!
He slashed out with his sword. A huge wave of sword energy fell from the sky, instantly killing both disciples. Even the gate of the Thousand Insect Sect was reduced to ruins by the attack. Smoke and dust circled the area. The huge noise soon attracted the attention of the disciples inside the Thousand Insect Sect.
Who are they? How dare they openly provoke the Thousand Insect Sect?
Shh. Lower your voice. The opponent is in the advanced level.
What advanced level? If he gets caught, he's nothing but food for our bugs.
Some of them were conversing in hushed tones. To them, Zane Martel was just seeking death.
Bo Thompson, Elemental, come out.
A black beam and a white beam of light appeared.
Not a single person below the advanced level will be spared. Kill them all.
After receiving the order, Bo Thompson and Elemental immediately rushed to the people who'd been gossiping earlier. In just a few seconds, several of the intermediate-level disciples lay dead by their hands. Bo Thompson, already at the 8th stage of the intermediate level and proficient in illusions, was a formidable fighter. Elemental, with his incredible speed, was nearly comparable to Zane Martel. No one could dodge his sneak attacks.
Run.
Demon!
Screams rang out one after another as the main gate of the Thousand Insect Sect turned into a scarlet hell. The battle had only just begun, and the true terror of Zane Martel's wrath was yet to be fully unleashed. What horrors awaited the sect in the coming moments? The stage was set for a brutal and bloody confrontation with Zane Martel's fury driving the chaos. The Thousand Insect Sect would soon realize the true meaning of fear. Would Zane Martel find Erick Helm in time? And what other dark secrets lay hidden within the sect's walls? The answers awaited, but for now, the bloodshed continued, and the stakes grew higher with each passing second.
Who's got the guts to mess with my Thousand Insect Sect?
From the swirling dust, 7 figures emerged. Leading them was a bearded man in his 50s, radiating power. He was an expert at the peak of the 2nd stage of the advanced level. The other 6 were all with within the first and second stages. However, they were all quite old.
Oh, thank the heavens! The elders are here. We're gonna make it.
The bearded man's eyes widened as he took in the devastation. Their once proud entrance was now a pile of rubble. His face twisted with fury as he confronted the intruder.
Are you the one who trashed the century-old foundation of our sect?
A figure stepped forward, gripping the Black Abyss sword. It was Zane Martell, his eyes blazing with determination and fury.
Yeah, that's right. Your 1,000 insect sect's been up to no good. So, it's time to wipe you off the map.
Zane swung his sword, unleashing a devastating wave of energy. It zipped past the elders, heading straight for one of the sect's most iconic towers. The tower, a symbol of the sect's long history, split with a thunderous crack. It crashed down, kicking up a massive dust cloud and sending nearby buildings flying like they were made of paper. The bearded elder's face contorted with rage and disbelief.
This punk's only at the first stage of the advanced level. How dare he challenge our entire sect? He's got a death wish.
A white-haired elder stepped up, his power at the middle of the second stage of the advanced level. The air shimmered as he summoned a massive energy palm in the sky. It came crashing down towards Zane with a thunderous roar. But Zane wasn't backing down. He swung his sword, sending out a barrage of razor-sharp sword energy. The collision was spectacular. The palm shattered like glass against his attack.
What the hell? How's this possible?
Before the elder could recover, Zane's attack sent him flying. He tumbled through the air before managing to right himself, his face a mask of disbelief.
How's a first-stage punk this strong?
Zane stood tall, his Black Abyss sword gleaming. His voice dripped with disdain as he addressed the elders.
That's all you got? If this is your best, the 1,000 insect sect might as well be extinct now. Pathetic.
Zane charged forward, his sword a blur. Streaks of energy burst forth, slicing through the air with deadly intent. The white-haired elder gritted his teeth, throwing everything he had into the fight. But it was clear from the start, he was totally outmatched. After a fierce exchange, Zane's sword struck true. The impact was devastating.
Gah!
Blood sprayed as the elder plummeted, crashing to the ground. The fall was brutal, bones shattered, leaving him barely able to move. The fallen elder struggled to look up, his gaze moving from Zane to his companion, Katie. Recognition flashed in his eyes.
Are you from the Dark Wolf Hall?
Dark Wolf Hall? Why's the Dark Wolf Hall got beef with us?
Get this straight. Whether I'm with the Dark Wolf Hall or not, I am the guy who will be your end. And my name is Larry Shaw.
His words hung in the air, heavy with threat. Without hesitation, he raised the Black Abyss sword once more. The sword descended swiftly, ending the white-haired elder's life. Even his warrior's soul was extinguished, unable to escape.
You've really done it now. I don't care if you're from the Dark Wolf Hall or the Moon. You're not walking away from this.
The first elder turned to his remaining companions, his voice filled with rage.
Elders, take these intruders down. We're avenging our fallen brothers today.
In a flash, the remaining 6 elders surrounded Zane and Katie, ready to overwhelm them.
Hold them off for a bit, Katie. I'll come to help once I've dealt with these guys.
Got it. But be careful.
Katie's face was dead serious. Since reaching the advanced level, she had never been in such a tight spot. At that moment, 2 elders surrounded Katie, while 4 converged on Zane. Among these four, one stood at the peak of the second stage of the advanced level, two at the early second stage, and one at the first stage. The first elder stood apart, raising a massive battle axe.
This is where your little rampage ends.
The first elder swung his axe, unleashing a ray of light hundreds of meters long. It tore through the air, heading straight for Zane. The other elder joined in. A sharp energy blade flew from one elder's sword, while two others unleashed massive palm strikes, their attacks raining down like a tempest. These four were no joke. One at the peak of the second stage, two at the early second stage, and one at the first stage of the advanced level. Even for Zane, this was a tight spot.
Looks like it's time to use the moves Mr. Black taught me half a year ago.
Zane raised the Black Abyss sword high, and a circle of light materialized around him. It was similar to a formation, yet different. At its edges, hundreds of spectral sabers and swords floated, shimmering like mirages. As the sword formation took shape, the very air seemed to solidify, transforming into an indestructible barrier of sword energy. In a heartbeat, hundreds of energy blades flew out, easily deflecting the elders' attacks before turning on them. The four elders were forced back, their faces twisted in pain and shock. The one at the first stage was particularly messed up. They looked at Zane with newfound terror, like they were facing the Grim Reaper himself.
Your time's up.
Zane moved like lightning. He appeared next to the weakest elder, his sword flashing. One precise strike and the elder fell. He turned to the remaining two without missing a beat. Fear had the remaining elders in its grip. Despite their higher cultivation, they were shaking in their boots.
Human path palm.
Flame falling fist.
Their attacks, born of desperation, were no match for Zane's sword energy. They were cut apart like they were nothing.
No, this can't be happening.
Zane's sword flashed twice and both elders fell, their lives snuffed out in an instant. The first elder, watching his comrades drop like flies, was shaking with fury.
You little bastard! I'm gonna rip out your warrior soul and feed you to our insects for the next 10,000 years.
As the first elder spoke, a yellow tiger spirit burst from his head, growing rapidly and merging with him. Power surged through the first elder's body, enveloping him in a layer of blood energy. His fingers elongated into razor-sharp claws as he charged toward Zane, his intent clear: to end this battle once and for all.